Welcome to week 4 of Back to Basics. You ready? All right, okay. You said you were ready. Okay. So remember now, let's just kind of recap. We're going through the introduction, the 4 units of the introduction of the textbook. And week 1 is the thing itself, which is a power for good, an omnipower, everywhere present, everywhere all-knowing, all-power, everywhere active, right? An omnipower, all right? The way it works for us by working through us. Very powerful, okay? What it does, it takes the impress of our thought and it hands it back to us in form. It says, this is what you believe. Let me show you what this looks like. Okay? All right, so it really is. It all comes back here, doesn't it? And so today we're going to talk about how to use it. But don't worry now, if you don't get it all today, Reverend Jane will be here next Sunday, and she's going to recap the whole thing for you to make sure. And I heard she's not going to let you go until you get it, okay? So you better come prepared. Okay, so this talk this morning is kind of an interesting talk. I was sharing this with Mary Jo this morning. I went to bed last night, about 2 a.m. I thought my talk was finished. I usually get up on Sunday morning about 5:30, and just kind of pull it together. So I got up this morning, and I opened my talk, and I couldn't believe it. It looked like about 12 different talks. And I'm going, why did you go to bed last night? I mean, it just was like, you got some work to do, girl. and then I thought about it, and I realized that this is kind of the way life shows up for us. You know, sometimes life shows up for us, and it appears to be very disjointed, and it appears to be not connected to anything else. Where we can't figure out, why is this showing up? And why is this showing up? And why is this showing up? Because it doesn't look like any of it is connected. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to give it just the way that it is. Just the way that I put it together. And know that every single person in this room is going to receive exactly what it is that you need from this morning. Because I'm receiving what I need from it this morning. Okay? So be open, be receptive. Okay, so Dr. Holmes tells us first and foremost, he said we only know as much as we can prove by actual demonstration. And I think there comes a point for all of us where we have to stop and ask ourselves, what do we really know? What do we really believe about this teaching? Okay? And do we really believe what we say we believe? Okay? And the various, I want to call them challenges, but they really aren't challenges. The various opportunities that show up in our lives show up in order for us to ask ourselves that very question. Do I really believe what I say I believe about prosperity, about love, about health? Do I really believe that? Okay? And if I do believe it, then I have to apply it. And that's what this chapter is all about. He's basically telling us that we're only going to demonstrate what we know. That everything else is still a theory for us. And in this chapter of the book, he actually tells us, this is the thing that's so beautiful about the Science of Mind, because this chapter is where he tells us how to go beyond the theory. I spend many days in this chapter. Many days. Because this stuff sounds really good, doesn't it? But applying it sometimes can be kind of scary. Applying it means that you feel like you're kind of walking out on a limb. You feel like you're kind of stepping out, and there's not as much to support you as you'd like to see and feel supporting you in that moment. So I spend a lot of time in how to use it, how to move it from theory to demonstration. And that's what this is all about. And so the crux of this chapter, I want you to hear these words, because he says that what we're really doing in this teaching is demonstrating the supremacy of spiritual thought force over apparent material resistance. Now, this is really good. This is really good to understand, because many times people think that that means that certain things are never supposed to show up in our life. They're going to show up, and when they do show up, we don't have to deny that they have shown up. But what we do have to do is to know that a higher thought, a thought that's higher than this experience that we're having right now, will change it, will replace it with something new. So that's what he's saying. The crux of it is, it's basically understanding that we're demonstrating the supremacy of spiritual thought force over apparent material resistance. How many of you have ever had apparent material resistance? Okay. So that basically lays it out to us, doesn't it? Okay. There's something that I'm looking at in my life that I'm ready to see it move. And he's saying that a new thought, a new belief, a new idea will replace it with something new. All right. Okay. So he says, though, that we have to do more than just announce a principle. And this is where so many of us get a little bit confused, because somehow we confuse announcing something with believing something. And they're not the same, are they? Okay? They're absolutely not the same. We want to truly believe what it is that we say that we believe, and we do this by giving ourselves greater understanding. Greater understanding. Now, he tells us also, I want to kind of get the foundation in here before I start moving into the top. He tells us also, and he does this throughout the entire textbook. I always ask the class, why do you think he keeps repeating this to us? He says that infinite and immutable as this law is that we're using, this law that knows no respecter of persons, that just simply hands our belief back in form, as infinite and as immutable as this law is, this law cannot give anything to us. It cannot give anything to us. It must give it through us.